ChatGPT. Before we get into every AI model, there's one thing most people get wrong. ChatGPT isn't the model. GPT is. ChatGPT is just the app, the door you walk through to talk to GPT. Copilot, another door. The Gemini app, another door. Claude's website, also a door. Different doors, different logos. But behind each one is a giant AI brain doing the heavy lifting. So how do these AI models actually work? They're trained on massive amounts of text, code, books, and websites. But they don't memorize facts. They learn patterns in language. At the core, most AI models are predicting the next word, one token at a time. Everything impressive they do, writing essays, explaining physics, debugging code, comes from doing this prediction extremely well. It's basically autocomplete, after drinking several energy drinks and reading most of the internet. Bigger models mean more parameters, which let them recognize more complex patterns. The context window is how much the model can hold in short-term memory during a conversation. Larger context means it doesn't forget what you said 3 sentences ago. Some newer systems include reasoning models. These pause to think before answering, which makes them slower but much better at math, logic, and multi-step problems. Now to GPT itself. The current flagship is GPT 5.2. Well-rounded, multimodal, handles writing, analysis, coding, images, and voice. It's designed to do a lot of things well rather than one thing perfectly. And honestly, that used to be enough to stay on top. But in 2026, being a generalist is harder when specialists keep getting better. The O series is a separate branch focused purely on reasoning, slower but dramatically better on hard problems. Inside the ChatGPT app, several models work together. Image generation is DALL-E. Video is Sora. The app bundles everything into one interface so users don't worry about what's running behind the scenes. Where GPT stands today, it's no longer the undisputed king. Gemini often leads benchmarks. Claude dominates coding. GPT's real advantage is ecosystem. Hundreds of millions of users, massive plugin library, and the model most third-party apps build on. OpenAI also ships updates constantly. GPT-5 launched mid-2025. 5.1 followed shortly after. 5.2 dropped in December. The numbering gets confusing even for people paying attention. That's actually a feature. Improvements land faster than any other lab. You just have to accept you'll never feel fully caught up. Gemini, Google. Gemini is quietly catching up to GPT and in some areas pulling ahead. Google's flagship, Gemini 3.1 Pro, leads several major benchmarks. On AIME 2025, a competitive math exam used to test AI reasoning, Gemini 3 Pro scored around 95%. Across general benchmarks, the 3.1 Pro version leads 13 out of 16 major tests according to Google DeepMind. But raw performance isn't Gemini's biggest advantage. Integration is. Gemini is built into Gmail, Docs, Sheets, Search, Android, and Maps. If your life runs on Google, Gemini already knows your context, summarizing emails, writing documents, analyzing spreadsheets, all inside apps you already use. Gemini 3 Flash is the speed variant. 90 to 95% of Pro's capability, but much faster and cheaper. For everyday tasks, Flash is often the smarter choice. Gemini also shines at multimodal understanding. Tradespeople like mechanics can photograph a part and get an instant ID, faster than flipping through manuals or digging through forums. Its context window handles up to 2 million tokens. You could paste an entire novel and ask it to analyze themes, summarize chapters, or find contradictions in one pass. There's a trust question worth mentioning. Google's main business is advertising, so some wonder about bias. In practice, there's no measurable evidence of it in factual queries. I've used Gemini heavily for research and haven't noticed anything steered. But it's worth being aware of, the same way you'd think twice about getting restaurant reviews from someone who owns a restaurant. Claude, Anthropic. Claude is the specialist, especially for coding and deep analysis. The flagship is Claude Opus 4.6, released February 2026 with a 1 million token context window in beta, 128,000 output tokens, and adaptive thinking. Widely considered one of the best models for coding, reasoning, and large-scale analysis. Below it sits Sonnet 4.5, the mid-tier workhorse. Roughly 80% of Opus's power, much faster, much cheaper. Opus is the research lab, Sonnet is the reliable engineer who shows up every morning. The coding advantage is real. Claude tops benchmarks like Live Code Bench and SWE Bench, tests that measure real-world software understanding, not toy problems. In developer communities, it's